I needed this episode more than I thought I did. Hello everyone, Vulcan here, and welcome to my review of Dragon Ball Super episode 74, and this honestly is a pretty damn good episode. Nowhere near the level of episode 72, but still thoroughly enjoyable. One thing I am slightly concerned with is that we don't really get any conclusive information on what Gohan intends to do from this point on, whether he'll stay behind the desk like usual or if he'll start training again. However, I'm jumping ahead now, so I'll cover this part of the episode later in this video. So we start right where we left off in episode 73, and surprise surprise, Gohan manages to dodge the blast. After many years of being pounded and yelled at, we're now seeing that it was all worth it. Piccolo would be so proud of him. For some reason though, I thought Jaco was aware of who the Great Saiyaman is, so I concluded Jaco came to suspect Gohan himself was taken over by Watagash, but apparently not. It seems like Jaco had no idea who the Great Saiyaman really is, because when Gohan said his name, Jaco confused him for the bowl of ramen he'd eaten earlier, and it wasn't until Gohan took off his helmet that Jaco recognized him. The scene was admittedly pretty funny, with Jaco calling him Goku's kind of mediocre son, not to mention making fun of his getup. Coco stole this scene too by backing him up, not to mention how calm she was when facing an alien for the first time in her life, not counting Gohan because he was technically born on Earth, so really hard distinction there. And can we just talk about how hilariously incompetent Jaco is? First off, he let Watagash escape in the last episode, and now he fires off a beam which looks like it could have destroyed the Earth if his aim had been even slightly off. Just what kind of galactic patrolman is Jaco anyways? But that's part of the joke though, the irony of someone incompetent calling out someone for his mediocrity, and that was just hilarious. I tip my hat to the writers of this scene, well done. We then move to a secluded area just outside of town where Jaco explains Gohan what the situation with Watagash is and discover what we could already tell from the previous episode regarding Watagash's power, but we now get to know the mechanics behind it. Essentially, Watagash takes over anyone with darkness in their heart, and the greater the darkness, the stronger they become. Considering how it caused the fall of an entire civilization, the amount of power it can give to its host relative to how hateful its heart is must be insane. Apparently it has nothing to do with the host's base power, though I would also imagine that it would help if the host was already really powerful to begin with. So just imagine if Watagash took over Frieza, for instance. That would be incredible. On the other hand, I would expect that Watagash either can't take over someone like Goku or Gohan, who are both pure of heart and therefore have no such darkness, though the pure of heart argument is debatable over what exactly that means, but for the sake of argument, we'll assume that it denotes innocence, or Watagash would completely ignore them and seek out another host. When we got to this scene, I'd wondered why Coco wasn't huddling close to them to hear what they were talking about. Considering this is her first encounter with an extraterrestrial being, like I said before, I'd have expected that she'd have, well, a lot of questions. But Jaco's trying to keep this mishap of his a secret from as many people as he can, so it's a safe bet that she was told not to get close. Though I'd also have to ask who it is that Coco would speak to in order to rat him out, but moving on. We then move over to the private rehearsal scene with Gohan and Coco, where we see Gohan's acting is actually amazing. We're shown the reason why Coco was so insistent on having him come over so they could practice their lines was because Barry was determined to bring down Gohan by having a paparazzi take pictures of him there and make it look as though he's cheating on Videl, which I'd like to think not many people would take pictures of Gohan cheating while in costume seriously. I mean, come on Barry, I know you're dumb, but you can't be that dumb. You really think this will boost your career or make Videl fall for you? But like I said in my last review of Super, Barry's one of those stereotypical characters who's full of himself and thinks everything revolves around him and works just the way he wants it to. Not a character worth taking very seriously. In the end, all he managed to accomplish was further emphasize just how strong the bond between Gohan and Videl is, but more on that later. More importantly, one thing that does give me hope that Gohan's going to take his training seriously following the events of this little arc is when Gohan recites the line, "A warrior who protects peace for all, that is the Great Saiyaman." When he said that, the fact that he was posing and not looking at his script makes me feel that we're gonna get to see Gohan becoming more relevant as the show progresses. It hints that he's acquiring motivation to fight again because he realizes that there's more that he can do as a fighter, or at least as the Great Saiyaman, than he ever could sitting behind a desk. We already know that he's going to be there for the multiverse tournament, but what I'm thinking is that thanks to this arc and how Gohan has developed in it, we're not going to see him get demolished by opponents he has no business losing to within a second. There's also one thing I agree with Masako X on, and that is how Coco tries to get Gohan to fall for the trap of embracing her whilst talking about her insecurities, opening the curtains to make it seem as if he is in fact involved in some kind of scandal. But Gohan, in his purity and innocence, offers instead words of encouragement, saying that despite not knowing how to do many things, he still tries his best because he has a wife and daughter that he must be an example to. This scene just goes a long way to show how great a character Gohan is. Now, whether or not Coco's expressions of insecurity were sincere before she had opened the curtain, her attitude thereafter certainly did feel genuine, and as was shown by her closing the curtain and then leading Gohan up to the roof thinking no one would be there to take pictures of them together. Which is kind of weird, as I would have thought that a popular idol, even if in decline, would know that paparazzis would be ready for anything. And of course, the moment they went to the roof, the kiss was something everyone should have anticipated. I mean, come on, Gohan, you showed you'd learned your lesson on how to dodge earlier in this episode. What stopped you here? So Gohan returns home, rightfully expecting Videl to be furious for being away all night. Now I get that the writers are trying to make Videl out to be the ultra-understanding waifu, but I'd expect people in real life would be less than happy for having had to wait all night for their spouse to come back home. Her understanding nature is further emphasized when Barry brings the photos to show them to her. At this point, I definitely would have expected Videl to question what was going on, but Barry bringing the photos to Videl himself also backfires on him for obvious reasons. Videl already knows what kind of scumbag Barry is since the last episode, so I didn't put it past her to realize that there was some ulterior motive in Barry's actions here. Putting that into perspective, Videl's reaction on seeing the photos and not questioning Gohan about them actually makes sense. It was nice to see Gohan with a menacing expression on his face too. These two episodes have already done a glorious job of showing just how much he cares for his family, and he won't let anything compromise it, especially a scumbag like Barry. Unsurprisingly, and I say this because we knew this would happen from the last episode's preview, Watagash takes over Barry, who then proceeds to smash Gohan's house and kidnap Pan. We can tell in the next scene that Barry was still completely conscious of his actions, so his mind didn't appear to have been taken over by Watagash. It's funny to see that Pan didn't seem to care at all that Barry kidnapped her, though I'd guess that's only because she didn't feel at all threatened by him. After all, we are talking about the world's strongest baby here. What's a man taken over by tentacles gonna do? No, that's not a reference to Tentacle Hen. Gohan shows up to save Pan and Barry promptly transforms into his second form. That of course is not enough to give Gohan a can of whoop-ass, and as Gohan proceeds to fight Barry, Videl takes the opportunity to rescue Pan from the not Hollywood star's vile grasp. However, the fight doesn't end there, as Barry again transforms, this time giving Gohan several cans of whip-ass and throwing him into almost space. Before this, Jacob was about to blast Barry with his Ultra Cannon before Gohan stopped him, saying that he did not wish to kill Barry lest it leave an impression on Pan. Like Masako X said, that'll be really hard to do in a series like Dragon Ball. And with the power of love, Gohan regains consciousness in almost space and returns as Super Great Saiyaman, because Super Saiyan Great Saiyaman, Super Great Saiyaman. Get it? Get it? Moving on. Gohan ends this fight with a single Kamehameha, redubbed Super Great Saiyaman Beam, which by the way, I wonder when that'll get patched into Xenoverse 2. That allows Jaco to recapture Watagash. One thing I want to say about this is that the moment where Videl and Pan are shouting for Gohan to win was really enjoyable. Not only do we get to see just how great of a father and husband Gohan is in this episode, but we also get to see the result of his efforts. This scene, along with the previous scene where Videl shut Barry down like a boss, really shows her character and her intelligence. This is very much unlike a lot of other shows where the waifu can't think for herself. A lot of the reasons why I love Bulma's character are surprisingly showing up in Videl too. Maybe Toriyama and Toei like blue-eyed girls? I don't know. Either way, props once again to the writers for doing such a great job with Videl here. And the episode ends as we see the Son family leave the movie with Chi-Chi exhilarated at how her son is in a movie that smashed the box offices. It was also great to see Coco get payback against Barry now that she has something to blackmail him with. Hopefully Super Cuteness's career picks up the pace again too, though we sadly won't ever get to see it, I think. We later see Jacob back at the space ramen stand, cause that's still a thing, with Watagash back in the glass jar that he promptly breaks. Who else saw that coming? Come on, that was obvious from miles away. So yeah, I thought this was a great episode. The things that really stood out to me was seeing Gohan's character development and particularly how Videl just straight up owned Barry. I didn't have much of an opinion on her either way throughout Super, but I really have to respect her character now. Same thing goes for Gohan, because while he has become a bit of a wimp compared to the other giants of the show, he was surprisingly a great character to follow in an arc dedicated to him. In conclusion, Dragon Ball Super started 2017 off with a very strong arc, which I definitely enjoyed. The animation was also pretty good, so it's nice to see how far Toei has come since the start of the series. The next episode's preview does alleviate some of my earlier fears which I expressed at the start of this video, that being whether or not Gohan would just go back to his desk or if he'll start training again. The preview indeed shows Goku and Gohan are in some kind of training, though I'm not sure why Goku is dressed like a turtle. However, it seems like we're gonna be getting a Krillin-centric episode this time, so I'm starting to see a trend here where we'll be seeing the multiverse tournament fighters get screen time, showing what encourages them to get back into training or train harder if they already were. Fingers crossed that it will surprise me with quality like this arc has. As usual, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, like this video if you did, subscribe to my channel for more, and have a great day.